The pen felt heavier than it should. I turned it over in my hand, watching the afternoon light catch the silver engraving. Morrison Auto Group, 40 years of trust. The jeweler had outdone himself this time. It was supposed to be Tyler's gift, the symbolic passing of the torch. I'd give it to him right after we signed the papers. Mr. Morrison? My attorney, David Chen, cleared his throat. We're ready whenever you are. I looked up at the conference room. Tyler sat across from me, his wife Vanessa beside him, both dressed like they were attending a wedding. Through the glass walls, I could see my staff gathering in the showroom below. The signing ceremony was supposed to start in 20 minutes. 40 years of my life, 3 dealerships across the Phoenix metro, about to become his. My phone buzzed. I almost ignored it. Then I saw the name, Patricia Chen, my accountant for the past 2 decades. She never called during business hours unless it was urgent. Excuse me a moment. I stepped into the hallway. Rob, her voice was tight. Don't sign anything. Not yet. My chest tightened. Patricia, what? Check your email. I just sent you something. Account 4127. You need to see this before you hand over access to everything. The call ended. I stood there in the hallway of my own dealership, the place I'd built from a single used car lot in 1984, and felt the world tilt slightly. Through the conference room glass, I could see Tyler leaning over to whisper something to Vanessa. She smiled, touching his arm. My phone buzzed again. Email from Patricia. Subject line, urgent. Review before transfer. 3 PDF attachments. I opened the first one. It was a bank statement for an account I didn't recognize. Morrison Auto Group, vendor services account 4127. Opened 8 months ago. My signature on the authorization form, but I'd never signed it. I pulled the image closer, zooming in. The signature was good, very good, but the date stamp showed I'd supposedly signed it while I was in Seattle visiting my daughter. I remembered that trip. Tyler had been managing things while I was gone. The second PDF made my hands shake. Wire transfers. 43 of them over 8 months. Payments to Premier Auto Solutions and Southwest Dealer Services, companies I'd never heard of. Total. Vuitsenskrantis at 0. The third document was a Secretary of State business registration. Premier Auto Solutions, LLC. Registered agent, Vanessa Morrison. I stood there for what felt like hours, but was probably 90 seconds. Staff members walked past, greeting me, excited about the ceremony. I nodded automatically, my mind racing through the last year. Tyler had been with me for 12 years, since he was 22, fresh out of ASU, eager to learn the business. After my brother David died, I'd stepped in. Tyler became the son I never had. My daughter lived in Seattle with her family, building her own life. Tyler was here, learning everything, shadowing me, asking questions about inventory, financing, customer retention. I'd been grooming him to take over since he was 30. 3 months ago, I'd finally made the decision. Time to retire. Time to let the next generation lead. Tyler had earned it. The paperwork was drawn up. Today was supposed to be the culmination of everything. Rob? Tyler appeared in the hallway. Everything okay? You've been out here a while. I locked my phone screen. Fine. Just Patricia, with some year-end questions. On a Thursday afternoon? His smile didn't quite reach his eyes. Must be important. Nothing that can't wait. I studied his face. My brother's face, really. Same sharp jawline, same dark eyes. Let's get back in there. As we walked back to the conference room, I made a decision. I needed to understand the full scope before I confronted anyone. If Tyler was stealing from me, if my brother's son was betraying everything David and I built together, I needed to know exactly how deep it went. Actually, I said as we reached the door, something did come up. Give me 30 minutes. Family emergency with Sarah. My daughter's name came easily to my lips, the lie smooth. Tyler's expression flickered. Relief? Of course. Take your time. We'll wait. I grabbed my jacket and headed for my car, dialing Patricia before I'd even left the parking lot. Thank you for calling me, she said immediately. I almost didn't. Thought maybe I was seeing things wrong. Maybe there was an explanation. But Rob, I've been doing your books for 20 years. This isn't a mistake. Walk me through it. I was doing preliminary work for the transfer when I noticed the cash flow patterns didn't match up. We should have about 400,000 more in liquid assets based on our sales numbers from the last quarter. So I started digging. That's when I found account 4,127. I pulled into the parking lot of a coffee shop 3 blocks away, needing space to think. The companies receiving the transfers? Shell Corporations. Vanessa's name is on Premier Auto Solutions. Southwest Dealer Services traces back to an LLC registered to Tyler's college roommate, but I'd bet anything Tyler's the real owner. They've been paying themselves as fake vendors. Parts we never ordered, services we never received, consulting fees for work that was never done. How much total? Based on what I can see, just over 800,000 in the past 8 months. But Rob, here's the thing that worries me. The pattern accelerated dramatically in the last 60 days. It's like they're trying to extract as much as they can before the handover. I closed my eyes. Or after. Once I sign over ownership, they have full access. They could drain everything before I even realize what happened. That's what I'm afraid of. The transfer documents give Tyler complete control, including the ability to close accounts, move funds, whatever he wants. And with you planning to travel, to step back. She trailed off. My retirement plan. 6 months in Europe with Margaret, my girlfriend of 3 years. We'd been planning it for a year. Tyler knew I'd be largely unreachable, trusting him to handle everything. I need to verify this, I said. Before I accuse him of anything, I need to be absolutely certain. I can pull more records. But Rob, we don't have much time. If you sign those papers today, I'm not signing anything. Tell them I'm delayed. Family emergency. Buy me 24 hours. I spent the rest of Thursday afternoon and all of Friday morning becoming a detective in my own company. I called our actual parts suppliers, verified that the invoices matched real deliveries. They did. Then I checked the invoices for Premier Auto Solutions and Southwest Dealer Services. Detailed line items, proper formatting. Everything looked legitimate on the surface. Except none of it was real. I called the phone numbers listed on the fake invoices. Disconnected. Visited the business addresses. A UPS store mailbox and a virtual office space. Friday afternoon, I did something I'd never thought I'd need to do. I logged into our security system and pulled up camera footage from 8 months ago, around the time account 4,127 was opened. I watched Tyler in my office late at night, alone, my computer screen visible in the reflection of the window behind my desk. He was there for 47 minutes. I felt sick. That night, I sat with Margaret in my living room, spread all the evidence across my coffee table. I keep thinking I'm wrong, I said, that there's some explanation, that my brother's son, the kid I raised, couldn't do this. Margaret, who'd been a prosecutor before she retired, studied the documents with a practiced eye. Rob, I'm sorry, but this is clear-cut embezzlement. The question isn't whether he did it. It's what you're going to do about it. I don't know. I ran my hands through my hair. He's family. David's son. David's dead. Her voice was gentle but firm, and he'd be devastated to see what Tyler's doing. You think your brother would want you to lose everything you both built because you felt obligated to his son? I thought about David. My younger brother by 3 years, killed by a drunk driver 5 years ago. He'd been my partner in the beginning, helping me secure the loan for that first lot, working weekends to help me detail cars. Heart attack while jogging. He was 44. Tyler had been crushed. We all were. I'd promised David's wife at the funeral that I'd take care of Tyler, make sure he had opportunities. She'd moved to Texas 2 years later with her new husband. Tyler was an adult by then, fully embedded in the business. And now this. I need to understand why, I finally said. Before I decide what to do, I need to know why he'd do this. Margaret nodded. Then you need to talk to him. But Rob, be smart about it. Get a lawyer present. Protect yourself legally. Saturday morning, I called Tyler. Can you come to the office? We need to discuss something before the signing on Monday. I'd rescheduled the ceremony, claiming I needed to verify some details with my attorney. Tyler had been disappointed, but understanding. too understanding, in hindsight. He showed up at 10, dressed casually, coffee in hand. "What's up? Having second thoughts about retirement?" I'd spent 3 hours that morning preparing. Patricia had pulled every document we might need. My attorney was on standby. Margaret had convinced me to record the conversation, just in case. "Sit down, Tyler." Something in my voice made him pause. The easy smile faded. I placed the bank statements on the desk between us. "Tell me about account 4127. His face went pale, then flushed. "I don't know what." "Don't." I kept my voice steady. "Don't insult me by lying. I have statements, wire records, business registrations. I know about Premier Auto Solutions. I know about Southwest Dealer Services. I know everything." The silence stretched. I watched him calculate, decide whether to continue denying or try a different approach. "It's not what it looks like," he finally said. "Then explain it to me. Explain how you opened an account with my forged signature. Explain how you've transferred over $800,000 to companies owned by you and Vanessa. Explain why you've been stealing from me for 8 months. "We weren't stealing." He stood up, agitated. "It's complicated. The dealerships, they're profitable, but there's so much tied up in inventory, overhead. I needed capital for." "For what?" He turned away, staring out the window at the lot below. "Vanessa has a business opportunity. A real estate development project. We could triple our investment in 2 years, but we needed liquid capital. I was going to pay it back. All of it. Once the development sold, you wouldn't have even noticed." "I wouldn't have noticed nearly $1 million? You were handing me the business anyway." His voice rose. "In a few days, it would all be mine. The dealerships, the accounts, everything. I just needed the capital now to secure the investment. It made sense to access it early. By stealing it, by borrowing it." He turned back to face me. "Rob, I've given 12 years of my life to this business. I've worked 60-hour weeks, managed staff, dealt with problems you didn't want to deal with anymore. I've earned this." "You've earned the right to steal from me?" "I wasn't." He stopped, jaw clenched. "You don't understand the opportunity we have. Vanessa found this land development deal, working with her brother. It's a sure thing, but it required cash up front. The dealerships are valuable, but it's all tied up. I needed liquid assets. So, you committed fraud, forged my signature, created fake companies, billed the dealerships for services that don't exist. I was going to pay it back." "When? After you'd drained the accounts? After I'd signed over control and was halfway to Paris, unable to stop you?" His silence was answer enough. I felt something break inside me. Your father and I started with nothing. 1 lot, 30 used cars, and a dream. We worked 14-hour days for years. He died before he got to see how successful we became. And I promised him, Tyler, at his funeral, I promised I'd take care of you, bring you into the business, teach you everything we'd learned. I know. I treated you like a son. When Sarah moved to Seattle, when I didn't have any other family here, you were it, you and Vanessa. I was going to hand you everything, and you couldn't even wait a few more days without stealing from me." Tyler's face hardened. "You don't know what it's like. Living in the shadow of your success, hearing stories about Rob Morrison, the self-made man, the dealership legend, having everyone expect me to be just like you and Dad. The pressure is insane. This development deal, it was my chance to prove I could be successful on my own terms, not just as your understudy. So this is my fault? I'm saying I had reasons." I looked at this man, my brother's son, and barely recognized him. "Where did Vanessa get this opportunity?" He hesitated. "Her brother's a developer in Las Vegas. He's been working on this resort project, needed investors. Show me the paperwork." "What? If this is a legitimate investment opportunity, show me the prospectus, the development plans, the contracts." Another pause. Too long. "Tyler, is there even a real investment?" "Of course there is. Ryan's been sending updates, progress reports." "Show me." He pulled out his phone, fingers shaking slightly as he scrolled, then stopped. "I'll have to get them from Vanessa. She has all the documents." I knew then. He'd been played too. Maybe not as badly as he'd played me, But Vanessa's brother's sure thing was probably just as much a fiction as the vendor accounts. How much did you actually invest? About half. 400,000. And the rest? He wouldn't meet my eyes. Expenses. Legal fees for the LLCs. Some of it went to lifestyle things. I'll admit that. We bought a boat, upgraded Vanessa's car, but we were going to pay it all back once the development sold. I stood up slowly. Get out. Rob, get out of my office. Out of my dealership. I'll have HR box up your desk on Monday. You can't just fire me. I'm family. You were family. The words hurt coming out. You stopped being family when you forged my signature. When you stole from the business your father died building. When you betrayed everything David and I stood for. So that's it? 12 years? And you're just done with me? You did this, Tyler. Not me. Every choice that led here was yours. He grabbed his jacket. You'll regret this. That business should be mine. Dad would have wanted me to have it. Your father would be ashamed of what you've become. He slammed the door on his way out. I sat in my office for a long time after he left, staring at the photographs on my wall. 40 years of memories. The original lot, just me and David, and a string of lights. The day we opened the second location, Tyler's college graduation, all of us celebrating. His wedding to Vanessa, me walking her down the aisle because her own father had passed. My phone rang. Patricia, how did it go? About as badly as expected. He admitted to everything, tried to justify it as borrowing. Claims he was going to pay it back. Are you pressing charges? I hadn't let myself think that far ahead. I don't know. He's my nephew, David's son. He's also someone who stole nearly $1 million from you. Her voice was sympathetic but firm. Rob, I know this is hard, but if you don't hold him accountable, what message does that send? That family can steal from you without consequences? Let me think about it. Right now, I just need to secure the business. Make sure he can't do any more damage. Already done. I've locked him out of all accounts. Changed all the passwords. Notified the bank. He can't access anything. Thank you, Patricia, for catching this. For calling me. If you hadn't. I almost didn't. I kept thinking maybe I was wrong. Maybe there was an explanation. But I've seen too many small businesses destroyed by employee theft. I couldn't let that happen to you. After we hung up, I made 2 more calls. One to my attorney, David Chen, explaining the situation and asking about legal options. He recommended filing a police report and pursuing civil charges to recover the stolen funds. The second call was harder. I called Sarah, my daughter in Seattle. Dad, what's wrong? You never call on weekends. I told her everything. There was a long silence when I finished. I'm sorry, she finally said. I know how much you cared about him. He's your cousin. Your family, too. He stopped being my family when he stole from you. Her voice was hard. Dad, you know I've never been close to Tyler. There was always something, I don't know, calculating about him. The way he positioned himself as your heir, how he and Vanessa would talk about when we take over. It felt off. Why didn't you say anything? Would you have listened? You saw him as David's son. Your responsibility. I wasn't going to poison that relationship based on a feeling. She was right. I wouldn't have listened. What are you going to do? She asked. I don't know yet. Part of me wants to press charges, make him face consequences. Part of me thinks about your Uncle David, about the promise I made. Dad, that promise didn't include letting yourself be robbed. Uncle David would want you to protect yourself. After we hung up, I sat in the gathering darkness of my office, watching the evening shift arriving for their weekend hours. These people, my employees, many of them had been with me for decades. They depended on these dealerships for their livelihoods. Tyler's theft wasn't just personal. It affected everyone who worked here. Monday morning, I called an all-staff meeting. Everyone crammed into our largest showroom. I could see the confusion on their faces. Where was Tyler? Why wasn't he up front with me? I want to thank you all for gathering on short notice, I began. I have some difficult news to share. The planned transfer of ownership has been postponed indefinitely. Tyler Morrison is no longer with the company, effective immediately. The murmurs started instantly. I held up a hand. I can't share all the details due to legal considerations, but I want you to know that Morrison Auto Group is secure, your jobs are safe, and will continue operating exactly as we have been. I'm not going anywhere just yet. After the meeting, my general manager, Marcus, pulled me aside. What happened? Marcus had been with me for 15 years. He'd worked his way up from sales to finance to general manager. He deserved honesty. Tyler was embezzling significant amounts. Patricia caught it before the transfer. His face went through several expressions: shock, anger, resignation. I should have seen it. Some things didn't add up, but I trusted him because you trusted him. Don't blame yourself. He fooled all of us. What now? Now, we rebuild. Strengthen our internal controls. Make sure this never happens again, and we move forward. Over the next week, I met with my attorney repeatedly. The evidence was overwhelming. Tyler had made no real effort to hide his tracks, probably because he'd assumed he'd have full control before anyone noticed. We filed a police report. The DA's office was reviewing the case for possible criminal charges. Vanessa called me 3 times. I didn't answer. She left voicemails claiming she knew nothing about the fake companies, that Tyler had told her it was a legitimate business structure for tax purposes. Maybe that was true. Maybe she was as much a victim as I was, but she'd still benefited from the stolen money. The boat they'd bought? Seized by the authorities. Vanessa's car? Returned to the dealership. The $400,000 sent to her brother's development project? Lost. Ryan had taken the money and disappeared. The Vegas address on his business cards belonged to a check-cashing place. 2 weeks after everything fell apart, I was closing up the office when I saw a familiar car pull into the lot. Tyler got out, looking thinner, older. I met him at the door. You shouldn't be here. I know. Can we talk? 5 minutes. Against my better judgment, I unlocked the door and led him to my office. He sat down heavily. Vanessa left me, moved back to California with her sister. I didn't respond. The DA called. They're filing charges. Felony embezzlement. Fraud. My lawyer says I'm looking at 2 to 5 years, maybe more. You made your choices. I know. He looked up at me, and for a moment I saw the kid who used to help me wash cars on weekends. I'm sorry. I know that doesn't mean anything now. But I screwed up. I let Vanessa's dreams get in my head, convinced myself I was entitled to more than I'd earned, and I destroyed everything. You destroyed more than your own future. You destroyed my trust, my faith in family, the memory of your father. I know, his voice cracked. Dad would hate what I did. Yes, he would. We sat in silence. Finally, Tyler stood. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I understand what I threw away. The business, the relationship, everything you tried to give me. I had it all, and I was too stupid to recognize it. After he left, I found myself crying for the first time since David's funeral. Not for Tyler, exactly. For what I'd lost. The future I'd imagined. The family legacy I'd hoped to build. The nephew I'd thought I knew. Margaret found me like that an hour later. She didn't say anything, just sat beside me until the tears stopped. You did the right thing, she finally said. Then why does it feel so wrong? Because you're a good man who wanted to believe the best in someone you loved. That's not a weakness, Rob. That's what makes you decent. 3 months later, Tyler pleaded guilty to embezzlement and fraud. He got 3 years, eligible for parole in 18 months. Vanessa was never charged. Apparently, she'd been smart enough to keep her name off most of the paperwork. I recovered about half of what was stolen through insurance and the sale of seized assets. The rest was gone, lost to Ryan's fake development scheme or spent on a lifestyle Tyler and Vanessa thought they'd earned. The dealerships survived. We implemented new financial controls, new oversight. Patricia now reports directly to an external auditor. No one person has the access Tyler had. I didn't retire. Couldn't, really. My daughter Sarah offered to move back to Phoenix to help manage things, but she has her own life in Seattle. I told her to stay, be happy. Margaret and I still took that trip to Europe. 6 weeks instead of 6 months. The dealerships needed me, and honestly, I needed them. The work kept me grounded, gave me purpose. Sometimes I drive past Tyler's old house. New people live there now. Sometimes I wonder what David would think about all of this. Would he blame me for how his son turned out? For being too trusting? For not seeing the warning signs? More often, I think about Patricia's phone call. If she'd hesitated even a day longer, if she'd convinced herself she was wrong, if she'd decided it wasn't her place to interfere, I would have signed over everything. Tyler would have had complete control. By the time I figured out what was happening from Europe, it would have been too late. I called Patricia last week to thank her again. "You saved my life," I told her. "The business, my future, everything. I just did my job," she said. "No, you did more than that. You chose to get involved, to make the hard call. A lot of people wouldn't have. I've known you for 20 years, Rob. You've always been fair, honest, decent. When I saw what was happening, I couldn't stay silent. You deserved better than that." After we hung up, I sat in my office, the same office where everything had fallen apart, and thought about loyalty. Real loyalty. Not the kind Tyler claimed while stealing from me, but the kind Patricia showed by risking our professional relationship to tell me the truth. The business is doing well. We had our best quarter last spring. I've started training Marcus to eventually take over, this time with proper structures and oversight. He's earned the opportunity through years of honest work, not entitlement or family connections. I haven't spoken to Tyler since his sentencing. He's in a minimum security facility in Florence, about 2 hours south. Sarah thinks I should visit him, that David would want me to offer some kind of forgiveness or reconciliation. Maybe she's right. Maybe someday I'll be able to separate the memory of the kid I helped raise from the man who betrayed me. But not yet. The wound is still too fresh. Last month, I found an old photo in my desk drawer. David and me, standing in front of our first dealership, arms around each other's shoulders, grinning like we'd conquered the world. We were so young, so full of plans and dreams. I showed it to Margaret. That's what I lost. Not just Tyler, but this. The dream that started with 2 brothers and would continue through the next generation. That's gone now. "Dreams change," she said gently. "They don't die. They evolve." She's probably right. Morrison Auto Group will continue, just not the way I'd planned. Not with family at the helm, but with people who've proven their loyalty through action, not blood. I keep the photo on my desk now, a reminder of what David and I built together and what we almost lost. A reminder that sometimes the people who warn us, who tell us the hard truths we don't want to hear, are showing us more love than the ones we call family. The pen with the silver engraving, the one I'd had made for Tyler, sits in my desk drawer. I can't bring myself to throw it away or give it to someone else. It's a memorial to a future that never happened, a legacy that died before it could be passed down. 43 years now. That's how long Morrison Auto Group has been in business. We'll keep going, we'll adapt, we'll survive. But some nights, when I'm alone in my office, I still wonder what would have happened if Patricia hadn't called. If I'd signed those papers, handed over everything, trusted Tyler completely, I'd be broken now. Financially, emotionally, completely. Instead, I'm just scarred. And in the end, maybe that's the best outcome I could have hoped for. The victories don't feel like victories. They feel necessary. They feel like survival. And some days, that's enough.